everyone, I'm Anisha from the Amazon Developer Advocate team. And today I'm here with the legend himself, Jay.
Hello.
So today I want to talk about Universal React and React Universe. React is no longer just web and React Native is no longer just mobile. And I think we're seeing more and more apps, libraries running Universal React. So today I want to ask the question, what does Universal React mean to you?
So one thing it means to me, at my company, Bravely, we have a very small team and we're very efficient.
Yeah.
And so what that means to us is we need to be able to write a small amount of code that works on as many places as possible. So my first actual open source library was called Legend Motion.
Okay.
And the goal of that was to have the same API as Framer Motion, which we used on web, but on mobile. So even though we're writing React Native code and React Web code, it's still the same kind of concept.
Yeah.
So the same mental model.
Yeah.
So our developers could go from lowercase motion to uppercase motion, and it did the same thing.
Right now, you manage Legend State and Legend List, and they're both JS libraries.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in the world of Universal React, they're perfect. And was that the intention when you wrote them, or how did you think about making them just JS libraries?
Part of it was I don't like writing native code anymore.
Fair enough.
But part of it was I wanted them to work on every platform. So, for example, Legend List, the goal is to be as performant as possible. And that's more of a problem on platforms like on TVs or on really slow devices and stuff like that. But then also, I really like React Native macOS. And so I love making React Native apps, but on desktop. And so I wanted a list library that would work there without writing much of native code for macOS.
Fair enough. And I mean, that basically encompasses like Universal React, right? Something that works on TV, desktop, mobile, you name it. And do you think that we're going to see more and more libraries that are Universal React libraries, or what are your thoughts on how we're moving?
I hope so. I've actually been talking about this a lot for the past couple of days. I see that there's kind of web down, where you have people make React apps on web.
Yeah.
And then to make a desktop app, you use Electron to make it on desktop. And then on mobile, you would use Capacitor or something, have a web view. That's not a great experience. But then if you go the other way, you start from React Native on mobile, and then you have React Native macOS, React Native Windows, maybe React Native Web or React Native Strict DOM, come up the other way from React Native where it works everywhere. But then even without that, just React Web and React Native just working together more seamlessly is really nice. So I think seeing React Strict DOM kind of move in that direction is really interesting.
That's what I was going to ask next. Yeah, like how do you think React Strict DOM is going to influence how React developers build? Do you think it's going to make it easier to go from native to web?
I think so, and also vice versa, because your React Native code will look more like web code.
Yeah.
So you'll be making divs, you'll be using CSS. I think it's easier to go back and forth that way. And
how do you think the Android and native devs are going to feel about that?
I don't know. I think
not our problem.
They already don't like React Native, I think.
I know. Yeah. I can't say the F word. Flutter for everybody watching. That's awesome. So I think what I wanted to ask about is a little bit more about like how you built Legend List and Legend State and what makes them Universal React. Like how do you test it on all the different platforms?
Mostly I tested on all the different platforms. So I started it as iOS and Android.
Yes.
Performance is worse on Android, so I tested most on Android. But then also I just started a macOS app to see if it would work there. And then I'm currently working on web support for it. So you can just use Legend List with the same API. It works in React Native on mobile, React Native on web, React DOM on web. It just works everywhere with the same API.
That's amazing. So if you haven't tried out Legend List or Legend State yet, definitely recommend it. And I tested Legend List and Legend State both on TV, and I feel like it was really great for rendering that dynamic content. And was that something like you intended when you built it, or is it just one of the performance benefits that have come out of it?
So the kind of longer story is I had a productivity app that had documents and notes and images and all sorts of dynamic stuff. And I built it as a React Native app, but then I built a virtualized list on web for my web app, which was actually better on mobile than Flatlist was.
Yes, yeah.
And so I migrated my whole app to web wrapped in React Native.
Okay.
That was 6 years ago or something.
Amazing.
So I've wanted a list this whole time.
Yeah.
And so I built Legend List to be able to solve that problem of having just dynamic content that you can edit and it'll just flow fine.
And I mean, it works out great for us TV developers, side benefit. And I think like one thing like that might come up with people is they might think, oh, because it's a universal React app, performance won't be as great because it's not native. How can you, like, would you be able to speak to that a little bit?
Yes, it is better than all the other list libraries.
Yeah?
And basically the reason is you're driving React to render.
Okay.
And so you can't really solve this on the native side because you have to trigger React to render. So it's better to just, as efficiently as possible, tell React to render.
Thank you so much, and
Yeah.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.